What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my Godzilla comic book reviews. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Godzilla Monsters and Protectors, issue number 2. This issue was written by Erik Burnham with artist Dan Schoening, colorist Luis Antonio Delgado, letters and design Nathan Wittick, supervising editor Tom Waltz, and editor Megan Brown. This is the second issue in this new IDW comic series. It's Godzilla. And I'm here to talk about it. I plan on covering all the new IDW comics as they release because, well, I love Godzilla and it's new Godzilla content, so I'm definitely going to be talking about it. So let's go ahead and summarize what happened in this thing. So at the end of the last issue, we left off with a tease for the Shobijin, or the Twin Fairies, or whatever you want to call them. That was kind of the setup thing, and I thought that they were going to make them teenagers based on kind of some of the art designs that I saw, and I thought they'd be regular size because at the end of the last issue you saw them standing on top of Mothra's egg, and they looked kind of human sized based on the scale of Mothra's egg, but needless to say, they are still tiny, they are still the Shobijin, but they're written differently than I've ever seen them before in Godzilla comic, at least that I can remember. Like, the Shobijin are kind of, when they're the Twin Fairies, they kind of have this set personality. Here, they're a lot more like quirky and kind of kid friendly, kind of taking some elements from like the Rebirth of Mothra versions of the Twin Fairies, but definitely feeling a little bit different than like the traditional, the singing and kind of more formal, if that makes any sense, kind of versions of the Twin Fairies. But we'll talk about them in a second. But anyways, let's talk about this thing. So the issue opens up. We have Cedric Nishimura, who was the main character, who's kind of vlogging his whole experience about how he saved the world. So this is him telling the whole story on his MeTube channel, which obviously is a play on YouTube. This is the framing device for the entire story. He's kind of talking about the whole things and how, like, when the Linival Corporation set off their little device and to kind of showcase like new clean energy for the world, it affected things and it ticked Godzilla off. So the next part of this thing is him talking about who the Shobijin are. He explains who Mothra is, and he talks about how they're these little tiny little fairies. So if you're kind of new to Godzilla, like, since this is more geared towards little kids, this kind of gets them a background on who these characters are. This is kind of its own world. It's not really based on the 54 world, at least to my knowledge. It's like, this is a universe populated by Godzilla and its characters, and we're just kind of like going with the flow. If you have a knowledge of Godzilla, you can kind of pick up on the pieces, but it's kind of its own thing, at least from what I can gather. There's some teases here, like little Easter eggs. There's a Ghidorah Easter egg, which makes me wonder if he's going to emerge in this thing. So I feel like they're kind of laying the foundation for a couple things in this issue. For instance, the Shobijin are having psychic visions of Godzilla and how he's going to go berserk. And apparently, this is my favorite panel right here. Look at this artwork. This artwork looks really great here. It's just the way the colors are done. I always love Godzilla when he's immersed in like flames, like whether it's blue or just the color. I think it always looks really, really amazing. So apparently Godzilla is going to blanket the entire planet in a new ice age with his powers, which is kind of new. He's going to kind of cover the whole Earth. And so the Twin Fairies are talking about it, and they're like, he's considering it. Like, if humanity continues to act up, Godzilla's just getting so pissed off right now about what people are doing to the planet, and he's going to act if we don't do something. He's like, people may have gone a little bit too far this time. So he's going to correct things, and the Twin Fairies are debating whether or not they should help people or they should let Mothra intervene. They're like, let's meditate some more and we'll think about it. So we also have the people from the Lanai Corporation, who are really the guy, what is it, Nomura? What's his name? So the main head of the Linival Corporation is really pissed off about what happened. He wants Godzilla destroyed, basically, after everything that happened in the previous issue and how that all went kind of crazy. So he's not happy with what happened beforehand. So he's going to try and figure out a plan to stop Godzilla. So like, he's got his staff and they're off kind of doing their little thing, and they're trying to figure out ways that they can stop Godzilla. So they have that right here. So there's some teases for things to come. So we also have somebody talking about how Godzilla is completely impervious to plants. Another guy's talking about how they should build a mech, which is a tease for Mecha Godzilla. And then you have somebody else who's like, wait, we already have a little way to stop Godzilla. So we'll get into that in a second. So we had the main villain there. God, what was his name again? I'm trying to forget things off the top of my head. Um, yeah, so again, they use the L113 and all that. So, anyways, let's keep summarizing. I'm losing track right here. But anyway, so Cedric's doing this thing. He's talking about his YouTube channel. We see the Twin Fairies debating like how are they going to do this, and they eventually decide that they're going to speak with some kids about the whole thing. And by the way, I don't know what's up with this panel here, but like this cave right here looks like a face. Not sure what the intent of it is. It's like a mouth opening up. You have the nose there, and you have that looks like a tongue sticking out. I don't know what the point of this design is, but it looks like a mouth. It's kind of strange. So the Twin Fairies decide they're going to head to Japan because if they're going to teach any generation to save the planet, it's going to be kids because they're the next generation. So they go in there in their little eagle thing. Instead of flying on Mothra for some reason, like they normally do, they have this little eagle thing, or the little Mothra that they had in the Rebirth of Mothra series. So on top of that, we also have the kids talking in. We had Emily and we had Anderson debating about Godzilla. So with Emily, she thinks that Godzilla is basically there to restore balance, kind of like a whole Serizawa thing when people act up. And then you have Anderson debating about how Godzilla is basically just running on instinct. He's just a kind of a dumb animal, just does things based on instinct. It's not necessarily like, because of this. He's not as intelligent as we think he is. But we all know Godzilla's there as like the planet's immune system. So they had this little debate here. They have their teacher, Mr. Murray, and Cedric just talks about like what's even the point at this point. Godzilla's just going to attack regardless. Nothing is going to change that factor. He's like, okay, well, if we make what kind of changes are we going to make? So they kind of have a little debate about Godzilla, about how like what they should kind of do with him, like what are Godzilla's motivations for everything, and like what kind of changes need to be made so that Godzilla doesn't like kind of go like as crazy as he is. But anyway, so on top of that, we also have what is it, Takashi talking about like his plan to defeat Godzilla. And they had this little experiment here. So you can see here, as I was watching this, we're talking about Godzilla's DNA and cloning things. And I was thinking that it's probably going to be Biollante, Space Godzilla, or maybe possibly Orga. Because in Godzilla 2000, the aliens from that film utilized Godzilla's DNA to kind of create Orga. So my thoughts were it's going to be one of those things, but like as it kept going on, like, okay, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Space Godzilla? Are they going to make Biollante? And then eventually it's revealed that yes, Biollante is going to be appearing in this thing. And I couldn't be any more excited because I feel like Biollante has not been utilized in such a really long time, and it's just a character that I'd like to see utilized more often. So I'm happy Biollante is going to be teasing this thing. It looks like the next issue, Biollante is going to play a factor in, probably fight Godzilla, and we're going to get some cool kaiju action. So Cedric's there, he's talking about, doesn't know why they made another monster, and he's talking about it, he's like, okay, should have come back next time, tell you the next part of the story. So we got that, and you can see the next issue, here's Godzilla, here's Biollante, finally back in something after so long, and we get some teases there, there's some images of Mothra, and the issue basically just kind of ends from there. So that was Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors, issue number 2. Overall consensus, Godzilla is kind of like absent for most of this issue because, well, it's more of a premonition. Godzilla doesn't really do anything in this issue in particular. We just kind of get teases about what Godzilla is going to do going forward in this thing. Like the Twin Fairies are having their little premonitions about what Godzilla's going to do. He's apparently going to blanket the planet and a whole entire new ice age, which would be kind of crazy when you think about it. But I think it would be kind of I don't know how he's going to do that, but Godzilla's still really pissed off, and they got to kind of find a solution that humanity agrees with and Godzilla agrees with, maybe coming to an understanding of each other, which we know that they're going to because we have Cedric's V2 vlogs talking about how he saved the world and all that. So that's all going to play a factor in the next issue, I'm sure, when the Twin Fairies show up and do their little thing. But overall consensus, I did kind of have fun with this thing. Again, this is definitely geared more towards kids. It's definitely not like more adult like some of the other IDW comics in there. This is definitely not as like deep or meaningful as say like Godzilla in Hell or Godzilla Gangsters and Goliaths or the Half Century War. It's definitely not like geared towards more of an adult audience. This is more of a kid-friendly thing. And I think kids who are not quite as familiar with Godzilla will probably get into this thing. It's definitely a more friendly-looking art style, definitely more appealing towards a younger demographic. Older demographics may just kind of find it may not find it that engaging. Because some Godzilla fans will definitely get a kick out of the little nods and Easter eggs. I saw some teases of Ghidorah. There's definitely mentionings of Mecha, which teases Mecha Godzilla, utilizing Godzilla's DNA. That's definitely going to play a factor into something. We know Biollante, but they also said that they ran the experiment a few times so we could get some teases to other Toho creations. And I am really kind of excited to see where we go from here with this thing. So, did I like it more than the first issue? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. It's not like the most compelling Godzilla comic I've ever read, but I think it's fine for younger readers, and that's what they're targeting with this thing. And plus, it's more Godzilla content. I've seen better, but I've also seen worse, so I think this one's fine. I think it's worth checking out. If you're a Godzilla fan, you just want to have a little bit of everything, here you have an IDW series. I know they're going to be launching another series sometime soon. I'm not exactly sure when, but when they do, I'll be sure to talk about it. But if you read Godzilla Monsters and Protectors issue 2, what did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, hit that bell for notifications, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Thank you all so much for watching this. Really appreciate it. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.